Good morning, scholars, and happy hump day to all of you. We made it to Wednesday. Time is just flying on by. So today is our last activity before you get to the major assignment, which is that poem analysis, where we'll be using everything that we have done so far. So you'll be looking at tone, you'll be paraphrasing, you'll be looking at the importance of words, you'll be talking about images, and you'll also be giving your opinion on the poems that you choose. So today is our last activity, and specifically, we're going to be talking about the practical uses of poetry, because as I mentioned at the very beginning of this, rather than focusing on breaking down the poems, talking about rhyme, meter, and all those things, while important for our uses here, I'm more interested in making you aware of the emotional importance and the real life applications of studying poetry. So in talking about that, there are some practical advantages to studying poetry. um, Language, right? So we talked about the importance of words, their connotations and denotations. We talked about tone. So just using all of these words and choosing words very deliberately to create the emotions, the images, the meaning that you desire. And in reading those things, seeing a poet masterfully and artfully putting these words and images together to create that for you. Also, when we talk about emotional intelligence and some of the other things that are listed here, um, a lot of times we aren't going through all of these things, which is not necessarily a bad thing. For example, I'm an only child, so reading a poem about siblings will help me to understand and empathize with someone who has siblings. Um, if your parents are together and have never been through divorce, poetry can help you um, realize what someone emotionally might go through if they're struggling with that. Financial issues, marriage, happiness, things that we may not have been through um, personally, and can help us empathize and figure out how to help others who are dealing with that situation. And that's essentially how we're going to see these poems as useful. Because poems can be useful by borrowing the words of a poet when you can't find your own. Sometimes you know what you want to say, you're just not sure how to say it, or you're in a situation where you're in front of a lot of people, and so starting off with a line of poetry or maybe reciting a whole poem could really help you in those situations. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to memorize a bunch of poems so that you're ready on the fly in case you find yourself in one of these situations, but I want you to keep in mind that poems are good places to look for inspiration when you're faced with these situations. So, this goes all over the place. So, in these real life situations, things like bad news, things like weddings, funerals, these life cycle events, birth, death, etc., marriages, all of that kind of stuff. Um, if you are asked to make a toast or say grace before a meal, if you're invited to a fancy event and you're asked to say something before the meal, poetry can help you there. If you find yourself in a romantic relationship or proposing, poetry can help you find the words to fit that occasion. And if you're trying to move your audience, so if you're trying to motivate people, whether it's your colleagues and you're trying to get them on board with a new idea, or if you're trying to get people to vote a particular way, or you're on a team and you're trying to hype your teammates up. So any situation where you find yourself in um, an area where you have to be a leader, poetry can help you do those things. So, what we're going to do today, just to kind of cement this idea, is you're going to be choosing two of those situations that I just mentioned, and you're going to find two poems for each and you don't have to use the entire poem. You can, the entire poem might work, but you can pull a stanza, you can pull a line, you can pull a phrase, you can pull a couple lines that might not even, be consecutive, the first line of the poem and the last line of the poem, and put them together, however you want to do it. But the thing is that you're finding something that will help in that particular situation. So you're choosing a situation, finding two examples, choosing another situation, 2 more examples. So this is going to be worth 40 points today, and I'll be posting this slideshow without the video part of it, just the slideshow itself, onto the classwork so you can review it there as well after you've listened to it here. So, as mentioned, you're going to be choosing 2 of the situations. So, bad news or difficult times, a wedding or anniversary, a funeral, as a toast or grace in a romantic relationship, or to motivate. So, if you choose at a wedding, you're going to find 2 examples that from poems that would help you wish someone well on their wedding day. And then maybe you choose motivation. So you're going to find 2 examples that would help motivate people in different situations. So like I said, might be a stanza, might be just a line, might be 2 phrases put together, might be the whole poem, whatever works. And then you're just going to write a brief justification for each choice. This is just a few sentences, why you chose it and how it works, to provide help in that particular situation. Okay, so in your doc, you're just going to list the situation that you chose, list poem, the title and poet for example number 1, the line, stanza, whatever that you chose, and then a couple sentences of justification. You'll do that twice for that situation, and then you'll do the same thing for the next situation. Okay. So where are you going to find these poems? Well, I think the easiest place for us to go is when you actually click on this, the hot link will come up and it's going to take you to the Poetry Out Loud website, and it's going to take you specifically to poems by collection. So it'll let you click on different themes. So there are things there like nature, happiness, marriage, death, war, etc. So those larger themed collections should help you narrow down some of your choices. So I would like your poems to come from this website in particular, only because that ensures that we are choosing quote unquote quality poetry and poetry that is well known. Okay, so you might not know it, but if it's on there, it is well known and considered to be good poetry. Again, I know that's a subjective term, but that's the best way that we're going to do it. And also familiarize yourself with this website a bit, because this is also the place that you'll be going when, see how it pops up there, when we work on that poetry analysis tomorrow and Friday. So once you are here and you click on that, it will um, allow you to go there. Oh, well, I'm in the wrong spot. Well, let me try that one more time. So let's see. Okay, so I know that, let me make my screen. Let me see if I could pull up some of this into your view. So it pulls it up, and so you can see some of them there: winter weather, springtime, summer, feathered friends, love, etc. So there's 2 pages. So like I said, it is based on collection, and this will allow you to kind of narrow down what you're looking at. And like I said, please familiarize yourself with this collection section, because this is the same link I'm going to give you um, when you work on the poetry analysis. Okay, one last thing, just for a little motivation and to um, talk about the importance of reading and studying and writing poetry. One of my favorite films is Dead Poet Society. If you have never seen it, I do suggest that you check it out. I'm sure it's somewhere available for streaming. I'm not sure if it's a Disney film or not to be on Disney Plus. But anyway, Robin Williams plays Mr. Keating. He is an English professor at an all boys preparatory school, and the boys um, live very structured lives, and Mr. Keating kind of um, changes things up for them. Okay, so I'm not going to play it here in the video, but when you go back and watch this slideshow um, on your own, do click on that and check out that clip from Dead Poet Society. And as I said, if you have time, which you just might during our little quarantine time here, to check out the whole movie, please do. Okay, so that is that. I do have an office hour today from 1 to 2 p.m. on Zoom. I will post the information on getting into that here in the stream. And if you have any questions about this or anything, just jump on and we'll deal with that. Or if you just want to say hi, you can jump on too. So that's from 1 to 2 o'clock today in Zoom, and I'll post the particulars here. Okay, guys, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.